So, you want to start a clothing brand. Before you spend money on fabric, samples, or software, there are 5 things you should be preparing that most designers completely overlook. They're the difference between struggling and building something sustainable, and you're probably not going to hear anyone else talk about this. So listen up, friend. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Mikkel Drew Pelham. I talk about digital fashion design software and technology, clear communication, and fashion entrepreneurship. If you're starting or restarting a fashion brand and trying to figure out what tools you actually need, what skills really matter, and how to use technology intentionally without wasting time or money, you're in the right place. Make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss the conversation we're building on this month. Fashion brands aren't built on vibes and talent alone. They're built on clarity, systems, and decisions made early. Although many people starting fashion businesses want to begin with the product, there are 5 much more important things to start with. I like to think of them as the 5 C's you need to prep for success. And the first and probably most important is the customer. Before you even begin to start designing a product, you need to know who it is you're serving. If you don't know exactly who you're building for, everything else becomes harder. Pricing, marketing, product decisions, even software choices. And the reason is because you need to know what your specific customer needs and what problem you're solving for them. You don't want to be designing skin-tight mini dresses and then marketing to a customer who dresses modestly, or trying to sell high-priced products to customers who may be on a fixed budget, or even marketing to a customer who may be interested in your product, but you're using language or examples in your ads that they find offensive or off-putting. Knowing who you're talking to affects every decision you make. So before you even put pen to paper or stylus to tablet to sketch your first product, you need to research who this person is that's going to be buying what you're selling. And I'm not just talking about demographics here. Yes, that's important, but what's more important is buying behavior. Understanding where your customer shops, why they buy, what problem your product is solving, who's currently solving that problem, and what's making them want to buy from you. This allows you to start designing with intent, not just aesthetics. And understanding your customer will help you attract them and start forming what you'll need to prep next, which is your community. Once you understand who your customer is, the next thing you need to start building is community. And when I say community, I don't mean go viral or have thousands of followers. I'm talking about building a group of people who are interested in your perspective, your process, and the problem you're trying to solve. In today's market, launching a fashion brand without some form of community means you're starting from zero every time you release something. You're guessing what people want, you're hoping they'll find you, and you're relying heavily on paid ads or luck. Community helps shorten that gap. When you have a community, even a small one, you're able to test ideas before you invest in samples, get feedback before production, and build trust before asking for a sale. And that trust matters. People are far more likely to buy from a brand they feel connected to than one they've never heard of before. You probably heard people say that a customer needs to know, like, and trust you before buying. This is exactly what's happening when you begin to establish your community. In addition, there has been a huge influx of fraudulent businesses using AI-generated content to the point where many people now don't always trust or believe what they see. So it's even more important for you to establish that trust with your community and potential customers early so that they feel comfortable buying from you when the time comes. Now, community can look different depending on your brand. It might be an email list, a consistent social media presence, people following your journey and engaging with your content. What matters most is consistency, not size. This is where knowing your customer really comes into play. The way you communicate, the platforms you choose, the content you share, all of that should be aligned with who you're trying to reach, not what's trending. And here's what you really need to keep in mind. Community isn't something you build after you launch. It's something you start building while you're preparing. Because when you finally do release your first product, you don't want to be introducing yourself and selling at the same time. You want people already paying attention, already invested, already rooting for you. Once you start building community, it naturally leads into the next thing you need to prepare, your credit. Because community helps reduce risk, but it does not replace the need for capital. I know this isn't the sexy part of fashion, but it's a very real one. All businesses require money, and fashion businesses in particular can be expensive. Even when you're starting small, even when you're being strategic, and yes, it is definitely simpler to start a business with less money these days, but you still need some money. Whether it's paying for samples, materials, software, photography, marketing, software in lieu of traditional photography and marketing, or unexpected delays, access to capital matters. And for most new fashion entrepreneurs, that access is tied to personal credit long before business credit comes into play. Now, you don't need perfect credit to start a fashion brand, but it's important that you at least know what your credit looks like, what options it opens up, and what it limits. Because poor or unmanaged credit can make it very tough to qualify for funding or loans, negotiate payment terms, or handle unexpected costs without panic. And here's the thing, credit isn't just about borrowing money. It's also about flexibility. Strong credit gives you options. Weak credit forces you to make rushed or expensive decisions. It can also limit how much you can expand and scale your business and may force you to stop even before you really get started. Today's brands are expected to be more financially literate, whether you're applying for microfunding, vendor terms, or even certain opportunities and programs. Financial readiness more than ever matters. Preparing your credit now doesn't mean you're planning to go into debt, but it does mean you're planning to protect your future self. Because when opportunities come, and they will, you don't want credit to be the reason you have to say no. Once you've started putting your credit in order, the next thing you need to focus on is educating yourself so you know how to make smarter decisions with the resources you have. Competence comes from intentional education, not from trying to learn everything at once, and not from collecting random courses or watching endless videos. In fashion, a lack of competence is expensive. It shows up as poorly communicated designs, costly sampling mistakes, confusion when working with manufacturers or contractors, or spending money on tools you don't actually need. Building competence means understanding how the industry works, not just how to design within it. This includes learning how product development really works before manufacturing, how to communicate your design ideas clearly, how to make informed decisions instead of guessing. And especially now, as technology continues to evolve quickly, designers are expected to understand the tools they're using well enough to communicate, collaborate, and move efficiently. But keep in mind, competence doesn't mean you have to become an expert in everything. What it does mean is that you need to know enough to ask better questions, spot red flags, and avoid decisions that cost you time and money. Designers who struggle aren't the ones who don't know everything. They're the ones who don't know what they don't know and aren't willing to keep learning. Building competence through intentional learning not only allows you to gain skills, you gain confidence and clarity. And that clarity makes every other decision easier, which brings me to the final C you need to prepare for, and that's commitment. Because all the competence in the world won't help if you're not willing to stay in it for the long haul. Commitment is different from motivation. Motivation is how you feel on a good day. Commitment is what carries you through the boring, frustrating, and unglamorous parts of building a brand. The reality is, building a fashion business takes time. Sales might be slow at first, content may not perform the way you want it to. Progress often feels invisible before it feels exciting. Commitment is deciding upfront that you're ready to play the long game. It's showing up even when results aren't immediate. You're still learning, you've made some expensive mistakes, or you're questioning whether anything is working. The designers who succeed aren't necessarily the most talented or the most visible. They're the ones who stay consistent, adapt when things change, and keep going when others stop. Commitment also means being honest with yourself about what you can realistically sustain. Your pace doesn't have to look like anyone else's. It just has to be consistent. Committing to the process, not just the outcome, allows you time and space to actually grow. And when you pair commitment with the other 4 C's, you're no longer just starting a fashion business. You're preparing to build one that lasts. Thanks for watching today's video. If you're serious about building competence as a fashion entrepreneur, check out the videos in my How to Start a Clothing Brand playlist, which walk you through the tools and workflows designers are using today. And if building competence is something you want to start working on now, I'll leave a link to my Creating a Fashion Tech Pack course in the description, because knowing how to clearly communicate your design vision beyond just the sketch is one of the biggest factors in avoiding costly mistakes later. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share this video with another designer if you found it helpful. Have a fantastic week, and I'll see you next time.